The following is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
This is All Things Elite. Welcome back to All Things Elite. Load up the pod, man, it's on when we speak. Rich right here, let me warm it up for Austin and Floyd. Couldn't be no one but the boys. When it come to All Things Elite from the fan perspective, swear, man, it ain't no question. Hear from them first. Swear, man, they putting in the work. No, they had to get me for the verse. Social Suplex Network's on. I was at a time in your headphones. Austin and Floyd on the microphone. Backing out on the ring, getting in the zone. Pulling up the show, give it 7 stars, you already know. Who else could it be but the show with the proclivity for positivity? I'm gone.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the 240th episode of Social Suplex's podcast about AEW with a proclivity for positivity. Welcome to All Things Elite. My name is Austin Somewhat's. I am the host of this lovely show. Finally back after a little bit of an absence because of how busy I have been. But I am joined once again, as always, the man who's always here holding the fort down with my good buddy and friend, Mr. Floyd Johnson Jr. My man, how you been?
I am good. I am a little tired, but it was a great week of AEW this week with both Forbidden Door and Dynamite both being good. So yeah, I'm really excited to actually talk about the show, and I'm glad to have you back because I hate being the host. I hate running the show. I hate it. I do it with the best of my ability and most of my energy, but if anybody can listen and you can hear it, you know, I'm very uncomfortable. I like you to control the show and just let me talk when it's time.
Absolutely, man. Well, and again, I'm glad to be back. I'm glad you enjoyed the episode you guys did on Forbidden Door. If you guys haven't listened to that, definitely give that a listen. If you guys missed it, and Floyd held it down. And yeah, we're going to be talking about the first show back from Forbidden Door. We're going to be talking about Beach Break. We're going to be talking about Beach Break from this past AEW Dynamite. And I'll also real quickly give my thoughts on Forbidden Door since I wasn't able to share them. But we're going to get into everything right now. But before we do, I want to make sure you guys download this fine show. Continue to download this fine show wherever you get your podcasts, whether it's Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, Spotify, wherever you choose to download us. Please continue to do so and give us a share with your friends, family, coworkers, whoever you wish, and rate, review, and subscribe so you don't miss a single episode of the show. You can follow us on Twitter at ATElitePod, and you can also follow at Social Suplex, who make this show possible and have a bunch of other incredible shows you guys should check out that are on their network. And I am Austin Somewhat's at Austin Somewhat's, SZUMOWICZ, and Floyd is at Floyd Johnson Jr. on Twitter. Now, I mean, there's a lot of news going into this week coming off of a hot Forbidden Door pay-per-view, which was that we had some big names who made their return, one of which Floyd talked about on the Forbidden Door review, and then another one who made his return on this episode of Dynamite. So first of all, just to be able to share my thoughts about Britt Baker being back, because oh my God, I've never missed somebody in pro wrestling more than I have missed Britt Baker. I think, holy shit, I missed her. Like, genuinely getting her back and having her first promo back, which we'll talk about from the show. Like, I missed her so much, and her absence was felt tenfold when she wasn't around. I'm so happy she's healthy. I'm so happy that she's able to be back, first and foremost, because her health is the most important thing. If she can't do this, then I don't want her to force it. So I'm just happy that she's healthy and that she is able to be back, and she's able to provide us with what I'm going to say is the feud I care about the most in AEW. And I'll talk even more so about that when we get later into the show. But I mean, like, it's been big for returns recently with AEW.
When people were asking about AEW and Dynamite and the beginning part of this year, how Dynamites have not been there where they want to, and they were talking about ratings being down and all that stuff, I would be one of the only few people to say, we're missing MJF, we're missing Britt, we're missing Hangman, we're missing Kenny Omega. I'm like,
Jamie Hayter as well.
Jamie Hayter's gone. I'm like, dude, there's some heavy hitters. There's some big names out. Like big draws with big fan bases.
And they've been out for a long time, too. They're not just like a few months. They're out for like close to a year.
Yes, and I love Britt and I love AEW, and respecting privacy is super important. Whole bunch of HIPAA laws when it comes to your health. But dude, give us an update. Say what she's injured with. Say what they're working on. I'm just like, just imagine if you were in the NFL, Austin, you're doing your job, and Penei Sewell is going to be out for the season. But Detroit never told you Penei Sewell was going to be out for the season.
The city would burn to the ground if they didn't know. Like,
Oh, he's injured.
He's out. They're
what
like,
kinda...
just tell us why.
Yes. Okay, so why is he out? Oh, he's injured. So when is he going to be back? He'll be back when he gets healthy. No, you're required to say Penei Sewell's out for the season with this injury. And I know it's gambling, NFL rules, and all that stuff. But I've always heard AEW is going to treat it like real sports. Well, real sports declare their injuries. I do not know any real sport that doesn't tell that the person's injured and how long they're going to be out. And it's like, we got Pac back early this year, and he's like, my career was almost over. And I'm just like,
and you're like, how the hell did we not hear about this stuff?
Yes, and like I said, I commend AEW for the privacy and tightening the holes. Yes. But dude, you can release this information in a structured way, and it's like I'm still yelling every couple months, when's Britt coming back? When's Britt coming back? Because dude, shit, I don't even think we heard that she was injured until like January or February is when it came out.
That it was this year.
Yeah, when she found out she was gone for 6 months before we found out she was injured. And it's just like, no, I'm not going to say you got to be 100% transparent, because actually I do think there's too much transparency in wrestling.
Yes.
There's
got to be a break-off point.
Yeah, there's got to be a way to say it. I'm like, this person had a stroke, a mini stroke, and could not work, and didn't know she was going to ever work again, because, you can't, be having a match and then have a stroke. No, but it's just like, because I don't know, there has to be a middle ground somewhere. I don't know what it is. I have no suggestions. I'm going to let the professionals handle it, but they got to do better, because like I said, when you have people that like MJF, MJF you knew was a part of the storyline, but like Britt, Jamie Hayter right now, and and Pac, it was like they were all hurt. First of all, we knew they were injured. That's it. But we didn't know we didn't know the severity of the injury. But we're not gonna, I don't think anybody's gonna be like, it's just a sprained ankle, come back. It's just like, we want to know what's up with the people. When is a good time to expect them back? Yeah. Or just like, man, she got really hurt.
And we're like, okay, she won't give them time.
Yeah, she won't be back for a while. Anything like that. It's a very weird policy that they have right now. And yeah, it does help with surprise, because when Britt came out on Sunday, dude,
place went ballistic.
Dude, I'm at my friend Noel's house in Tulsa. I jump up and I said, the bitch is back. The bitch is back. I kept screaming that. And that is what she calls herself. I was not calling Britt Baker a bitch.
No, it's absolutely what she calls herself.
Yes, I was like, she's back. I just want to make sure that's clear. That I was very happy. I literally said I wasn't buying any new shirts until after I got back from London. The doctor is back. That shirt's on the way. It's like I had to support my girl, because she's been gone so long. So
yeah, I know.
But
that was, like I said, so great to have her back. Like, these returns are huge, and it's given AEW a shot in the arm, and like in a big way. The pay-per-view gave AEW a shot in the arm too. It was a really good show.
Yeah. It's crazy how when you get tons of talent back, your program gets better.
Yep, exactly. And there's way more excitement too. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, now we got some people going back to positions they should have held. But in general, what did you think about Forbidden Door, sir?
Yeah. Before we get into our Beach Break review, just to give my overall thoughts on Forbidden Door. I thought it was a really, really good show. It's weird because my mindset going into it was I was kind of like, does this feel like, besides some of the bigger matches on the card, at top down, it felt like maybe this was like the weakest build to a Forbidden Door. But then I forgot about the fact that Forbidden Door 1 was riddled with, like, it was an injury fest going into that show. Like, I was like, oh yeah, man, I remember that show was like, almost seemed like it was cursed when it first happened. So I was like, like this wasn't like, maybe I was overthinking it a little bit more. I think Swerve and Will Ospreay might have put on one of my favorite matches of the year. That was just absolutely spectacular stuff. Like, the way they went into that match with the mindset of, this match is going to show people Swerve is anything but a transitional champion. And Will Ospreay was the one that was banging the door on that, being like, no. Y'all are going to show this man respect. And, like, kudos. Because, I mean, like, Will's hotter than fucking, like, magma right now. That dude is the biggest thing in AEW right now and the hottest wrestler in AEW. So the fact that, like, he did the level of work that those two guys did together and how Swerve shined in that match is just crazy spectacular. I love the new flip we've gotten with Mercedes Moné. I'll go into more with that when we get to her segment in AEW in the Beach Break review. Zack Sabre Jr. and Orange Cassidy might have been close, but behind Swerve as one of my favorite matches. I just thought they just tore it down. I thought they did a hell of a job. The way the transitions worked in that, and just Zack Sabre Jr. being able to get a huge win over a guy like Orange Cassidy too, really helped legitimize himself, and I think is going to help him in a big way when he goes back to New Japan to do more shows. And then just the announcement of Wrestle Dynasty being a thing. I made the joke that, like, we need to dig into the thesaurus a little bit because we just used Dynasty for a show and now we have Wrestle Dynasty. We can't find another word for this crossover show. I digress. But that being said, this show being after Wrestle Kingdom is going to be huge. And now it's a new weekend of wrestling that we can enjoy, because having Wrestle Kingdom and now Wrestle Dynasty back to back, that's just going to be a fun weekend of wrestling to just be able to enjoy. That being said, it's not going to be a fun weekend to stay up for, because God damn it, watching a show on Japanese time is going to be hard to push yourself through. It's tough, especially the Wrestle Kingdoms, because those shows go long.
It's so funny because I live on Japanese time.
Yeah.
Because I work overnights. I live on Japanese time.
Exactly. So it fits for you.
Yeah, like, staying up for Japanese wrestling doesn't bother me one iota. But yeah, I could see how it would flip your world upside down. It would basically it'd be like shows starting at noon for me, because I don't go to bed until like 7 or 8 a.m. So if a show started at noon, I'd be like, no, that is terrible, So yeah, but yeah, I basically live on Japan time. Dude, I was so excited about the Dynasty announcement. So once they announced Wrestle Dynasty, I was looking up prices. I went from Oklahoma City and Dallas. It started off $2,500. Apparently, being in Japan is actually cheap, but getting to Japan is the problem. At those prices, it wasn't going to ever happen. So I started looking up LA, like I was going to take a Southwest flight into LA and then take, American from LA to Narita or wherever they said I got to fly into. And it lowered the price significantly. So
yeah,
the whole thing is I'm going to try to make it. And everybody's like, well, if you're going to make it, go on the 28th and don't leave until this day. I was like, okay, you got to understand. I'm leaving the country without my wife. I know it's not a concern of any of yours. If I go, it'll be like, I will get there January 3rd. I will go to shows on the 4th and 5th, and I will leave the 6th. And everybody like, but you're on your first time in Japan? I'm like, yes, because I'm going without my wife. I don't really want to see Japan. I'm going to watch wrestling. I'm going to knock these notches off my bucket list. And so it's it's whole, like I said, it'll be a hard trip to make. I really can't even discuss buying a ticket or anything until after London, because that's my main and only focus right now. But yeah, very, very expensive ticket to get there.
Yeah, I can understand, but I can also understand it being a little easier getting from LA to Japan than it would be if you were trying to go to the UK, for example.
Yeah, and I'm being on a flight 18 hours, which is what it is from Oklahoma City, from Dallas, because either way I have to go to Dallas, from Dallas to Japan, and it cuts it down to, I think, 12 hours coming from LA. I think I'm more comfortable with being in a plane 12 hours than I am being in there 18 hours. So
right,
that might have been the way to go either way.
Yeah, but yeah, Wrestle Dynasty is going to be a wonderful closing to a weekend of great wrestling from Wrestle Kingdom weekend. And then since it's the last thing I kind of left for it, I don't want to leave it on a sour note, but we're going to transition into Beach Break to talk about some good wrestling too. But I asked Floyd. I might have asked Floyd. I might have not. I can't remember. But I can't think of a single biggest downgrade from champion to champion than what we got with the TNT title. Because we went from Adam Copeland TNT champion to Jack Perry TNT champion. There is no bigger downgrade in pro wrestling title reigns that I can remember in recent memory. And I can't think of another one off the top of my head. That is the biggest downgrade I've ever seen in my entire life. Match was pretty fun, if not a little messy. And the Blue Thunder Bomb through the two tables that Takeshita did is one of my favorite spots of the year. That was just an explosion of tables. I could not believe how perfectly, insanely beautiful that spot was. And God, I wanted Takeshita to win because that dude is far and away, like, still one of my favorite AEW guys that are on the roster right now. But no, give it to the guy with no charisma. That's fine, because God forbid we have one person in that horrendous faction not hold a belt. That's all I have to say. But the show itself, I thought, was pretty damn good. I thought there was a lot of really good stuff. I didn't even mention Danielson and Shingo Takagi. They killed it too. That was awesome. But that Swerve and Ospreay match, dude, I fucking adored that. It's seriously such a good match. But yeah, those are my thoughts on Forbidden Door. I got nothing else to add there except moving directly into Beach Break, so we can get into everything from this past Dynamite that we can go over.
I'm excited. I thought this was, I wouldn't call it, I thought this was a really good episode. I've seen some people calling it all-time great episode of Dynamite. I don't know if I would go that far, but
it had some big moments, but I felt like, as a show, it was solid. But with some of the moments that we got on this show, I can see where that thought came from, though.
Yeah, yesterday was the 4th of July, and I'm sitting there on the 4th of July, and wrestling comes up as it does when I'm at an event, because that's the one thing most people know about me. And we're talking about this actor, Shamar Moore, and it goes into this thing about, I was talking about his character on Young and the Restless and how much I loved it and all that stuff. And my aunt's like, I can't believe we're talking about Young and the Restless. And I was like, dude, I've always said this. Wrestling is the reason I love wrestling so much is because my two other favorite things when I was growing up, other than wrestling, were sports and soap operas. Yep. And wrestling is when sports and soap opera meet. They shake hands, they hug, they make sweet love. But wrestling is sport and soap opera. Wednesday was the perfect sports and soap opera episode of Dynamite. You got to see the athleticism that people bring, and then you got to see that juicy soap play out. And
buddy.
And I know people are 5-star, 7-star matches and everything like that, and understand through my time in the IWC, listening to people way smarter than me and watching matches a little differently, I've become around to really enjoy a 4- and 5-star match. But God damn it, I come from the Attitude Era. That's my era. And the Attitude Era was 80% soap opera, 20% wrestling. And man, we got a lot of soap opera this week on Dynamite.
Oh, we did, yeah.
And I fucking loved it. I was in a hog heaven. Like I said, I don't know if it was an all-time great episode of Dynamite. But yeah, it was. This Wednesday was my pro wrestling. Wednesday, yes. if every Dynamite, I wouldn't say could be like that, but every Dynamite could feel like Wednesday's Dynamite, it's my favorite wrestling show ever. It's out of this park because this is kind of what I was hoping for when AEW became a thing. Like New Japan style wrestling with WWE style stories. And I fucking thought Wednesday hit on that.
You got a lot of that, yeah. I mean, we opened up the show with Renee Paquette interviewing Daddy Magic and Daniel Garcia. And Garcia basically was going on because he was up in the rafters watching the main event. And he's like, look, I respected Will Ospreay, but I'm not losing my match tonight because I want to get a hold of that belt. And MJF then came in and he was like encouraging him, but he said, listen, Garcia was like, I got one more question about Wembley, man. He's like, don't worry about Wembley. You just focus against Ospreay tonight and then we'll worry about Wembley. But I'd like to ask you one question about your match tonight. Garcia is like, can I be in your corner? And Garcia was like, I'll see you out there. So Matt Menard apparently said he thought MJF was full of it, but after everything he's done for Garcia, you're all right with me. And when he said you're all right with me, I'm like, oh, Daddy Magic, you shook your hands with Satan himself. Why would you do such a thing? And because it was in my head for a minute, dude. Like from that moment where he said you're all right with me, I was just like, this man's about to get a knife so far into his back. It's going to be like the wound is going to last for weeks.
So the crazy part is I thought I went right where you went. I thought MJF was going to do something shitty. I just thought he was going to do something shitty to Will Ospreay, not Daniel Garcia. So it's kind of crazy.
Yeah. Then we got the opening match of the show, which was the Owen Hart Foundation Tournament semifinal match between Bryan Danielson and the Bastard Pac. Really good match to open up with. I thought there was some really nice stuff in this opening match. Pac had a gorgeous springboard that he did into a moonsault. And there was just a point where like these guys just like were holding on to just holds and just like extending it and just like trying to break out of holds for a bit. And we're just doing really, really good stuff. Danielson and Pac just put them into a ring and you just get some unbelievable great wrestling. And then Danielson, it comes down to the moment where Pac tries to hit an avalanche brainbuster and he hits it, but still Danielson kicks out. So then he tries to set up for the Black Arrow. Danielson gets out of the way. You hit the Busaiku knee, but Pac gets out of a cover and then transitions into the Brutalizer. Danielson's able to get out of that into the label lock. Pac rolls him up, but then they roll it up and Pac gets reversed. So there was counter after counter after counter in that moment, but then just by a split second, Pac gets pinned and Danielson moves on to the finals of the Owen Hart Foundation Tournament. Really, really good match to open up the show. Very exciting, fast-paced, and just hard-hitting. I think these guys did a damn good job for this opening match. And Danielson being in the finals for the Owen, like, it's going to be fun to see how that whole tournament closes out.
Really did enjoy the match. And one thing I did like is, like, he got that second to do, like, be injured or whatever. And then the ref's like, dude, you can either wrestle or you can't. It wasn't like this big, long. It was like, can you wrestle? Yes. Okay, let's go. Okay.
Yeah, it was like, are you sure?
Yeah,
are you sure?
Yeah, no. Because I even said it on the thing, that part took it at me out of it. Because to me, this is Danielson's last year. He's going to wrestle anyone. Yeah. I would honestly wish he would be wrestling healthy. Like, there was him and Takagi put on a good match Sunday, but if I'm telling you, I feel like there's another point in there if him and Shingo put on a match without him working the injury, right? And
sure.
And I feel that same way about the Pac match. It's like, I feel like the working of the injury, even though it's best for the story, it really is best for the story, is taken away from this banger match that I want to have because he has to sell. Like, dude, let's go. It was like, I only get a few more months of full-time Danielson. Let's put on the full Danielson match. Let's get to the greatest American professional wrestler alive. I want to see that person. I want to see the him versus Osprey match, every week. And maybe I have unrealistic expectations. I will accept that if that's the case. But dude, I feel like if he wasn't selling in this particular case, the match could have been better.
Yeah, it just felt like, obviously he's working that for a lot of his matches, but it would have been like, if you step away from that a little bit, I think it still works out a little bit.
And like I said, it was still a good match. I just thought, man, this could be like, like Pac is, he has one of my favorite Dynamite matches ever, and
yes.
I just really wanted.
It's when he goes, and
that's what I want. I want to go and go and go. Like I said, I could truly accept it if you like Floyd. This is just a Floyd thing. You know what? I have no. I'm not gonna argue with you. Yeah, it probably is, but it was just like I just really wanted that killer all the way, Bryan Danielson.
Yeah, I get that completely, but this match still was a really great opening.
Yes.
Regardless. We then had Mark Briscoe, the Ring of Honor World Champion, come out, and he said, "Listen, I ain't scared of shit. I ain't chicken, and I need to say in that ladder match, it's like Jack Perry had a bowl of Lucky Charms and a horseshoe shoved up his ass because he's the luckiest son of a bitch in the world." And he's like, "That was last week. I'm not worried about this last week. I'm worried about this week. This week is Shark Week. And when I think of Shark Week, I think of blood. When I think of blood, I think of blood and guts." And he says he declares himself the first member of Team AEW in the Blood and Guts match in Nashville on July 24th against Team Elite. He says that, and as he continues talking, he gets blindsided by Jack Perry. Kyle O'Reilly tries to help him, and he gets beat up by Okada and the Young Bucks, and they start coming out and hit Briscoe with an EVP trigger. And that's when the Acclaim come and chase the Elite out of the ring. I like Mark Briscoe being in Blood and Guts 1,000%. I think Mark Briscoe can do some really cool stuff in Blood and Guts. And there's a lot more interesting factors of the Elite in the people that they can feud with. The Acclaimed, I would love the Acclaimed to get out of this, because I think they deserve better and they can not have to deal with the fuckheads. That's just me.
No, that's not just you. That's not just you. It was funny you said it, because I was about to say very similar, but I have a different reason. It's like, in my mind, it's like, if 4 of the 5 on Team AEW is Briscoe, Kyle O'Reilly, and the Acclaimed, I'm like, oh man, y'all can do better than that. I'm like,
1,000 for Blood and Guts.
Yeah, I'm sitting up here saying in my head, because I'm still like, there's still a part of me that's like, oh, I can make it to Nashville, right? If that's 4 of the 5, I don't care who the 5th person is. I'm staying my ass home.
Yeah.
You want to move some tickets? You better put some names in there. And apparently, there's this tag team from Detroit that you might not have heard of.
Yeah,
that we've been waiting
and pleading.
We've been waiting
on the damn show.
We've been waiting to debut, and I'm just like,
it'd be nice if they were there. It'd be nice.
Yeah, it's like
wouldn't hurt.
Yeah, like you give me them, and you give me Swerve. Why is it the champion of AEW representing Team AEW?
He literally mentioned them, I think, the week prior.
Yes, and then you give me another 5th member, whoever you want it to be. Okay, I'm trying to make that trip happen. But if those 4 are 4 of the 5, man, and this is nothing against Mark Briscoe. I love Mark Briscoe, but Kyle O'Reilly bores me to tears. And I just don't think plunder cage match is where the Acclaim is going to be best used.
No, exactly. Well, and again, too, you look at the last Team AEW versus Team Elite match we had at Double or Nothing with Anarchy in the Arena. We had Bryan Danielson, FTR, and Darby Allin representing Team AEW. That is AEW.
Yes.
I love the Acclaimed. I do. And I like Kyle O'Reilly, and I love Mark Briscoe. You see the difference, right?
Yeah,
you see the difference in the teams.
Yes.
It seems like the Elite has already beaten the best AEW has to offer, and now they're just running roughshod over the rest of the group.
Yeah.
Like, you get what I'm saying, though.
Yeah, I would like to say, give me the BCC and Swerve. Just give me the whole BCC and Swerve, and I'm down with that 5.
That's fine. That's solid enough for me.
Yeah, I'd be like, oh, okay, I got to sign up. Again, Mark Briscoe in any type of plunder match is going to be great. I thought he was great in the ladder match. I thought him and Takeshita basically held the thing together and made it work. I thought they were my MVPs. Mark Briscoe, I've seen him in a dog collar match. Every time I've seen him in any type of match that has no rules, he's perfection. So I think he's a perfect first fit for it. I just think the other 4 is like, and I do think, I was talking to a friend and, he was like, this didn't excite him. And I was like, the match is the draw. And then I went and looked at the ticket sales. The match is not the draw. We need some names in there to draw.
Blood and Guts is a fine enough match, but it doesnst bring the level of excitement that, say, Anarchy in the Arena does.
Yes. So Ticketmaster has that dynamic called all-in pricing. They don't have platinum anymore. And I could get a first row ticket for like $200 right now.
Yes.
That is not a hot ticket. I will tell you that right now. If you can buy a first row ticket to a show 3 weeks out for like $200, that means that ticket's not selling well. So get us some names. Let's move some tickets in Nashville. Or
just take the Elite off television, then people will buy the tickets. That's just one thing you could do.
Well, let me tell you. The Young Bucks Reeboks sold out in like 2 hours, right? 2 hours. And, now we got some Reeboks out for, one of our greatest TBT champions, and you can still buy them.
Absolutely. Those are selling good, too.
They're selling good. They didn't sell out in 2 hours. You know what I mean? So, what I'm saying, I'm using that to say the Young Bucks pretty popular, sir. People like them.
And they're more than happy to do so.
They are. I mean, I know how you feel. I understand, and I do think the Team Elite draw that's a great draw. But yeah, it's like when you have a great heel faction, you can't have like a ragtag misfits of 4 people.
No, it needs to be a legit Team AEW.
Yes, and that's what I'm like. No one has wore the cape for AEW. Nobody has been the gatekeeper for AEW. No one has been like the MVP of the first 5 years of AEW, like this guy named Jon Moxley. Yes. And these are the type of matches he loves. I have no idea why he wouldn't be in
Moxley has to be involved.
Yes.
He has to be.
Yes.
We then had a backstage interview with the Women's World Champion, Timeless Toni Storm, and Mariah May, which also, if I don't think I mentioned, I don't think I mentioned this I can't believe I didn't mention this when I was talking about Forbidden Door. Love these 3. This was also one of my favorite. Like, those girls killed it. Like, holy shit, they did a really fucking good job. Like,
the triple kiss and Nigel's reaction to it, I gotta know what you thought.
Well, Nigel spoke for all of us, is what he did. Nigel was the voice of the people in that moment. I saw the hug and I was like, no. With what y'all been doing these last couple months, you ain't leaving at a hug. I know that's not what y'all are doing. And I was just like, these 3, like, my God.
It was this moment in life where I felt weird because there were 3 women on my screen kissing, and all I could think of is how awesome this is for Austin.
I appreciate you, Doug. I appreciate you. Well, Toni Storm was being interviewed backstage, and they asked Mariah May about how she was going to be facing her Kushida on Rampage in the semifinals of the Owen. And Toni goes, remember one thing. You are Mariah May. You have me in your corner. There's not a damn thing that can stop you. And then we would go into the next semifinal matchup for the Owen, which was one of the biggest ones, Chris Statlander versus Willow Nightingale. I really like this match. I like that we got these 2 going at it for the first time. And quite honestly, I was a bit stunned at the decision that went with who won. I swore Chris Statlander had this in the bag. I swore she did. But Willow won. Stokely was looking like she was going to Stokely put a steel chain on the apron, was trying to get the referee's attention while Chris goes for the chain. She goes after Willow with it. Willow ducks it, rolls her up, and just wins. And then Willow advances to the finals, looking to become the first ever 2-time champion of the Owen. She won last year. She's looking to go back to back. I was stunned. I swore Chris Statlander had this, which to me says, all right, Chris, you're going to fuck over Willow in the finals 1,000% because you need to get your heat back after this. Match itself, I thought, was really well done. Willow was super over in this, and I think people were really getting into these two going at it. But man, I was taken aback. I thought Chris was in the finals for sure. I thought, like, I knew it was going to be weird. It's like, well, it's going to be Mariah May versus Chris Statlander. Kind of a weird finals, but not too weird. But even still, I was like, man, I would have swore she had this. Like, am I alone in this?
No, I literally said on the preview show, on the Forbidden Door review show, but the preview for Dynamite, if they didn't have Chris win, they might as well release her. I said that. Like, I was strong in that Chris Statlander should win this match. And then Willow just won. And I was like, oh, yeah, Chris Statlander is going to fuck over Willow. That's exactly what my idea is. It has to be the case. Because if
she doesn't get her heat back, then, like you said, it has to get to that point where it's like, walk. Like, you should walk if that's the case.
Yeah, because
what are we doing?
Because Willow feels like your newly built star. It really does. I felt like she's on this level of being loved, and the promo she cut, that fiery baby face, nothing matters, smile anyway, that was amazing, and I thought she killed it. And then they came out and they had a good match, and they had the heat from attacking before the match, and I thought everything was perfect. And I was like, oh, so Stokely's about to jump in and cheat, and Chris is going to win. And then they said no, and Willow won. And this is what I will say this. My biggest problem with Forbidden Door and my biggest problem with AEW over the last 4 or 5 months is that it has been somewhat predictable. They said F you in this match because
dude, there is no predictability. No one would have thought that Willow was going to win this.
So every time I'm wrong on a prediction and AEW comes out and does it, I'm going to give them credit because that's been my rock. That's been my thing. It's like, if I've had one criticism about AEW over the first half of this year, is that it's been predictable. We get into this show on Wednesday. We give me a result I didn't expect, but I can still see a path of it working. So, yeah, shout out to the team. I like I said, I have like no notes on this episode of the show.
Yeah. Moving on, we then had Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, in the ring for her return promo. I'm going to say right now, this was the best part of the show, I thought personally. But Britt goes in and talks about her past, present, and future, where she says, your past is a lesson, your present is a gift, your future is your motivation. And she talked about how everyone was asking where she was, and she said, I was injured. That was what was given, but it takes a lot more than just that to keep me away. She would look herself in the mirror and say she's good until one day she wasn't because the room was spinning. Her arm was numb. The entire right side of her body stopped working and spent a week in the hospital. She had a TIA. So basically, it's mini stroke is what she went through. And then when she finally realized, and she said to herself, no, Britt, you're not good. She told Tony that she needed to stay home. And Tony was like, just let me know when you need to be back, when you're ready to be back. And now she's here. She's cleared. And she needed AEW. She needed all of you. And she had such anxiety of like, will people still care with how long she's been gone? And she said, because of you guys welcoming me back with open arms and D&D chants, I will always be in your corner. And then she goes to the future where she says, when you go through a hard time, when you're going through that, go through that shit, because when you do, it makes it so much better when you get to the other side, because you guys have the potential to be elite, the impulse to be elite like everyone. And then she brings up the new face of AEW, the female face of AEW. She said, must have been so rewarding for her to call herself that after she said shed blood, sweat, and tears building this place from the ground up. Must have been great, right? And then CEO, she must have studied so hard to earn those 3 letters. And man, the level of just absolute pandering and just manipulation of your fans, where you get people to chant those letters by piping them into your entrance music. And I was just like, fucking stab.
I got to give you the reaction. Oh, everybody did that.
Huge.
I just reminded that gif of the black dude doing the look on the. Yes.
Not a rapper.
Yes.
So then she goes, we need to just tell our new friend that we don't need pipe music to tell her the only 3 letters that matter in this company is DMD. Mercedes Moné, the new the TBS champion and new New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong Women's champion, pulls up in an SUV and then pulls up. And then Tweedledee and Tweedledum show up. And I'm just like, 5 minutes.
Austin's best friends.
5 minutes is all I ask.
You're thinking the EVPs are not going to welcome their CEO?
Fuck your letters.
EVP, CEO, let's go.
5 minutes is all I ask. I had to deal with your fucking faces when Christian and Adam Copeland had a blood feud that didn't need you. When you decided to have Christian go after Swerve Strickland and there was no reason for you to be involved. Why must you constantly get in the way? I understand the relevancy that you are so desperately looking for is too busy being on the shoulders of a guy who holds the Continental Crown Championship and is going wicka, wicka, wicka in the background of Nick Jackson not knowing how to get any kind of heat whatsoever. I understand that's where most of your relevancy is on, the shoulders of Kazuchika Okada. We understand that. It's been the case since he came to join your fucking group. But I ask for one feud where you don't jut your fucking heads into it. This is the one thing I care about. Like, this is the most anticipated match I have in AEW. I don't need you here. You offer nothing. You contribute nothing. You add nothing. Go away.
Okay. I'll let you get your emotional rant out. But yes, they add.
Why are you here?
Because they add something to it. I mean,
to what? Other than the fact
it was
that they have 3 letters in their title as well.
Well, there's this person, the CEO, and she's kind of been playing a tweener role, a heel role. This was
she's a heel now.
Again, this was a way her meeting up with the Young Bucks and then completely interrupting Britt's comeback speech with not just coming to the ring, having her decorations in the ring and stuff. This announced Mercedes as an official heel. She was in the tweener. She wasn't cheating. She wasn't doing it.
Do that on her own?
No. The hottest.
She's a grown woman.
She is, but you know what? That meeting with the Young Bucks told everyone else, all the casual people, all the people that might not have caught the pay-per-view, but just tune in every week. It established a clear, defined role for Mercedes. She's about to be a heel.
I will say the moment of them showing up and putting all the balloons in the ring and the pictures and everything like that, and just setting up while Britt's still standing in the ring, like setting up for Mercedes' party. That's great. That's absolutely great. You tell me that couldn't have happened without the fuckbucks on the screen? They had to be there. They had to be there.
No, they did not have to be there, but
exactly.
But it made it more clear, and it's just you are dealing with when you're dealing with people that are not all hardcore fans. You're dealing with the audience that may check in and check out. It was an announcement that the Young Bucks are dicks. Now they're with Mercedes. Mercedes a dick. And based on the reaction that you got when Mercedes got out there in Chicago, it was clear that the fans understood the message.
They would have understood it without them. I'm absolutely firm.
And this is one of the few times in life, as a person that lives on positivity, that I will say you had more faith in the fans than I did.
Fair enough. That's all I'm saying. I know there's been a small little contingency of people saying, oh man, the 5th member of the Elite needs to be Mercedes Moné. No, the fuck it doesn't. It does not need that.
Oh, I mean,
just let it be Anna Jay and let those 2 lovebirds have their moment.
They're called.
Just let it be that.
It's called the Elite. I mean, to have the best women's wrestler in the world, that makes you elite. I've never said she's the best women's wrestler in the world. This is a direct quote from her. So to have the self-proclaimed best women's wrestler in the world in there, I mean, that makes it elite on another level. I have been long a proponent of mixed sex factions. Those are my favorite. So yeah, I think that would add to Mercedes being in the elite. But as you said, not necessarily Anna Jay, but I would like them to make a woman coming into the elite.
Yes.
I would like them to somebody.
Like I said, Mercedes does not need them. She is so much more.
Yeah, and she's kind of been on her own. You know what I mean?
And that's all she needs to be.
I mean, so, maybe bring her in a heater. You could do, like one of the bigger wrestlers to be like her muscle or whatever. You could definitely do that.
Well, I mean, like she's literally like we talk about like her coming out to entrances and she's had Snoop Dogg performing for her. Snoop Dogg always has a giant ass bodyguard. Get this girl a giant ass bodyguard.
So any of that could work. But yeah, if she joined the elite, that would be cool. But yeah, in this case, I will go back to agreeing with you. I don't think it's needed.
It's not.
She would do more for it
to happen.
She would do more for the elite faction than the elite faction would do for her.
Which again says all that I need to say. How she would do more for that goddamn faction than they would do for her. My case is resting, sleeping comfortably in its bed. They need her more than she needs them. Fuck off of my screen. Moving back to this segment, because I love this segment, truly. She comes out and she proceeds to pull up and say how she has her celebration and goes, did I interrupt something? Because it's time to celebrate with your new double champion. And Britt goes, okay, I get it. I outshined your moment winning the title at Forbidden Door, so now you're trying to outshine me. And Mercedes goes, you did. Whatever you chose to do was irrelevant. Because I want you to get a real good look at what a real star looks like. Britt then says All In. And I'm immediately like, let's fucking go. And she said, I wrestled the first All In here in Chicago. I was the first female to go All In for AEW by signing that contract. I wrestled All In last year when your broke ass sat in the stands with a broken ankle. And then she's like, now I want you at All In this year. And Mercedes goes, Britt, I'm never broke because I stay rich. And since I'm now a double champion, there's a long list of girls waiting in line. So, bitch, get to the back. And Britt just looks over her shoulder and goes, what line, bitch?
So, if most people don't know this, because
the reference on that, dude.
Yes, it was a deep cut to Sasha Banks and Nia Jax feud. Nia Jax told her Sasha to get to the back of the line, and Sasha Banks said, what line, bitch? And that exact line. And it's like when Tony Khan says AEW's for the sickos, nothing more in that line should tell you it's for the sickos, because a lot of people online didn't get the reference because Mercedes didn't say you're a fan. So a lot of people didn't get the reference. But those that did were like, we were strutting in our wrestling nerddom right then. Oh, you didn't know? Are you new? Oh my God, we were dicks about it. We wanted everybody to know we knew something they didn't know.
Yeah, no. So love that. And Mercedes said, of course, you're a fan clearly, so you'll know what I'm going to say next. There's a price to pay when you mess with Mercedes Moné. This is my most anticipated match of All In. And I know not many matches are set for that show, but like this is the biggest women's match for me in the company's recent memory. These two, like you got the most OG AEW women's star, like the most first person to put pen to paper for this company for a women's wrestler, and one of their all-time best talents on that women's roster, who has been desperately missed, and now we finally have back, and it's so great to have her back. And now, right now, we're already like, oh yeah, Mercedes and Britt are gonna tear the house down. Like, the excitement I have for this match is so palpable. I am like, I truly mean this. I have not been this excited for a match since like when they were teasing Danielson Okada, I think. Like, holy shit, I am so hyped for this match. I cannot stand it. I want to see it so bad.
I would, like, in true, I know Britt's gonna work before then. I'm pretty
of course.
But dude, to kind of answer Mercedes, Britt doesn't work until All In. That would be amazing in my mind. Just just to be like, and point that out. You came back and we're back to you were here 2 months and didn't work. Why can't I do the same thing? Why can't the face of the AEW women's division, the queen of the AEW women's division, Britt Baker, do it? And I will say this. I love Mercedes being in AEW. Everyone knows about my love for Willow. And, you know, the different wrestlers. But the face, the queen, the boss of the AEW women's division. In other places, you can argue other people. No, there's no doubt it's Britt Baker. It's Britt Baker, DMD. I feel like she was the first. Like, Rio got good ratings, right? And I thought Sheeta did her thing and Nyla did her thing. But I think Britt was the first fully over woman in AEW. In her booking the last months before she left with her injury, I didn't think she was getting, I am the top person in AEW booking. Right. So the fact that
I will say too, Toni Storm took some time. Yeah. She took some time before she really clicked, and now that she's timeless and now she's the best thing ever. Now we've got to understand why she holds that belt. It makes all the sense in the world. But Britt was instant.
Yes, but women's wrestling, long been a weakness for AEW.
It's one of their strengths right now.
I truly feel like it's one of their strengths is what I was going to say. And I think because, you got Britt Mercedes, you have Tony waiting, looks like a natural story with Mariah May, but we'll see there. And then we got Willow and Chris. If you watched last week's episode of Rampage, looks like Sky and Queen Aminata, and they've kind of put Red Velvet and Queen Aminata together, which is, very, very talented tag team right there. And so it's like women and women's wrestling is all through the show. And that's really great.
The one segment or match for women's wrestling on a show, we're getting further and further away from that happening consistent.
Yeah. And it's so funny because one company took 40-something, 50 years to build a division, and AEW was getting shit on, like, in year 4 of their company. And it's like, okay, now we're in year 5 and the women's division is coming. Everybody's like, finally. But I'm like, it's only been 5 years, y'all. It's only like, and if you look at the big scheme of things, 5 years is not a lot of time to really get over your company and make every division feel special. Because while the women's division is great and now the men's division is great, now the tag team division is suffering.
I was just going to say, what AEW was mostly founded on, which was their tag team wrestling as well when they first started. That's taken a huge dive. I wonder why. Look who's holding the belts.
Yeah, you get 5 hours of TV a week. And unfortunately, as much as when we come out here and say you could have done this better, it's like a lot of times when you decide to do one thing, it's like, what are you going to take away? And right now, the tag team division is taking a back seat while they established the women's division.
It's where we're at right now. But that being said, favorite segment of the night, Mercedes and Britt are going to tear the house down in London. I cannot fucking wait for that. International champion Will Ospreay was interviewed ahead of his match tonight. He was with Kyle Fletcher. Don Callis got in there and was like, give me a minute. Will said, look, it wasn't your fault with what happened at Forbidden Door. And I know, Don, you're going to tell me I should have hit the Tiger Driver. I'm not that guy anymore. I want out of the Don Callis family for good. And Callis was like, basically, I'm not normally in the habit of letting people of signed agreements with me do that. but I'm so proud of what you've done. I'm happy to do you the favor. Maybe one day I'll ask you for a favor. So he kind of was like cutting himself off from the Don Callis family right then and there. We then move on to the Learning Street Chris Jericho coming out with AEW Security, and he walks around Taz, and he's like, "Hi guys." So I wasn't on the show, so I thought I'd come and guest commentate because you guys know me. I gotta have my TV time. And see, I want to talk about what Hook did. He stole my finish. Ultimate sign of disrespect. That doesn't work for me, brother. And even worse, Taz was clapping like a mark for Hook, and I spoke to Nicholas and Matt, and if I'm doing color commentary, I can't sit next to you because I don't trust you. And they granted my executive order. Taz has to vacate the arena immediately. I will say, too, with Taz having a recent issue with stealing a gimmick with what happened with him on social media, this kind of works in really well, I will say. I'm saying that jokingly because they're completely him and Jordan Grace are fine. But I like how that was kind of a small little thing that ties in with Taz for that. So he gets ushered out, basically, so Jericho can be on commentary for the next match.
Dude, this was so hilarious and like so, for me, Attitude Era, so cheesy. WWE.
This is cheesy Jericho shit that he does all the time.
But it was
so well.
It was so fucking brilliant. You think he was gonna take getting hit with his own finisher and Taz celebrating it? You think he was gonna take that line down? No.
He wasn't.
His ego's way too big for that. And he's gonna smile in your face, but that man was pissed off. And I love it.
Oh yeah. We then had trios match between the Cage of Agony, Brian Cage, Toa Leona, and Bishop Khan versus Samoa Joe, Shibata, and Hook. And I thought this was all right. I thought this was a fine enough match. Jericho going into commentary was just being all over the place for this match, and just dude wouldn't shut the fuck up. He just wouldn't shut up.
Yes, he was. And dude, I loved how commentary were sick of him because
they got so tired.
They was like, okay, you added completely nothing to this, and it was Tony.
Why are you here?
Pissed off Tony Schiavone might be his natural state because when he's pissed off, that's when Tony Schiavone's the best.
Yes. Match itself was all right, though. Cage of Agony basically gets choked out by all three of them, Hook, Shibata, and Samoa Joe. They get the victory that way. Jericho then proceeds to distract them with Big Bill and Brian Keith. They come in with chairs and smack him in the back. Brian Keith tries to go after Shibata's arm, taking a steel chair with it, and goes against his arm. Big Bill knocks down Samoa Joe with a steel chair. Jericho then takes some brass knuckles and smashes Hook over the face. And then they get a table, and then they completely slam Hook through a table thanks to Big Bill. So they get their heat back after they got handled relatively well on Forbidden Door. So, like I said, this was fine. Jericho was relatively entertaining with him kicking Taz out and all that kind of stuff. Holy shit, he would not shut up, and commentary made sure they knew, oh my God, this guy just needs to go away. I thought this was fine. It's done well.
I love it because it made it sure that this wasn't a one-match feud. It's going to go on for a few months. I'm thinking some kind of street fight or whatever is going to eventually happen. But I loved what this did. I think Hook's career has been revitalized since being with Samoa Joe. I think Jericho has gotten, I thought he was stale before this. And this is one of the most entertaining things every week. It's elevating Big Bill. Brian Keith's allowed to be hilarious right now in a way that I don't think anybody expected Brian Keith to get over like this, because he does play a very serious character. So he's getting over. It just seems like one of those feuds where it's like all six people in this feud look better than they did going into it.
Yeah. So moving on to another quarterfinal matchup for the Owen Hart Foundation tournament. Jeff Jarrett, the last outlaw, goes up against the wild card chosen by the EVPs, and it's Hangman Adam Page. I will say, now I wasn't here last week, so I didn't get to comment on the thing on Collision where they had a video like package sort of thing for Hangman. I liked it. I thought it was well done in showing Hangman continuing to spiral. This man is spiraling, and I like his new entrance music and the way his look is. I think is really cool. This would have been huger if it had no inclination of announcement. I will say when they showed him as the wild card, still got a really good reaction. But man, they would have blown up if no one knew he was on his way back yet. But yeah, no. Hangman comes in and he is just going after them, Jeff Jarrett. But they were chanting Swerve's house during that, and they were honestly getting behind Jeff Jarrett a little bit. Like, it was kind of wild how that was the case. And again, Hangman was just psychotic about that. He was not okay with that. He hits a buckshot lariat and then the sharpshooter, and then he gets hit into a sharpshooter after he tries to go after the buckshot lariat by Jeff Jarrett, and crowd's going nuts. But eventually he breaks out of it, hits the buckshot lariat and the Deadeye, and he wins the match and moves on to the semifinals, beating Jeff Jarrett. Really good to see Hangman back, genuinely. We'll quickly say real quick backstage. The Young Bucks were like, "Oh, thank God, you can thank us anytime, man. Blood and Guts is coming up. Will you be our fifth man?" And Hangman proceeds to grab Matthew by the freaking shirt collar and says, "I am not a child. I am not a puppet. I don't need any more of your BS games. I am in the Owen, and I'm going to win the Owen. Do you understand me?" And then he shoves the Bucks, and he walks away. Hangman is a man, like, just unglued. This man has nothing left to give. He is going to try to destroy everybody. Like, he's drinking again. Oh, this man is spiraling. I love seeing my cowboy spiral.
I want to make this clear. From the very beginning, and they're going to have to do something to change my mind. I am a Swerve fan. Swerve and Takeshita are like my 1 and 2 right now. I don't know which one's 1 and which one's 2. I love them. But Hangman's not the bad guy in this feud.
He's not. He
is not the bad guy in this feud. You can present him to me you want. You can tell me what he did. That man broke in his house and touched his kid. He is not the bad.
Touch his kid. He just put a thing in his crib. He
broke in his house.
Yeah, that's all.
Sorry, you can't get me on to join the Swerve side right now. I'm like, hey, Swerve, this is karma coming back at Swerve. Anything that happens right now, Hangman's going to have to go over the line for me to be like, oh, okay, well, yeah, he went too far. But he's going to have to do something more than he's already done, because Swerve went in his house. He ain't no I'm sorry, ain't nothing we cool, ain't nothing I lost them for a minute. You went in my house. I'm going to have to mess you up.
For real. And listen, I absolutely see that point, and I agree with it. I understand the reason why Hangman is the way that he is. I like seeing him spiral.
Yes. It's beautiful. It made for great television because, a lot of people thought he was just going to be right back in the Young Bucks.
This is a different level of like Hangman psycho, just psychology of Hangman that we haven't seen, because Hangman's gone through like trials and tribulations, and he's gone through depression.
Yes.
This man is going through just like a full-on mental breakdown. Like, this isn't depression. This is like a breakdown.
Like, the anger is going to get the best of him. You know what I mean? But no, I really like this Hangman. It reminds me of AJ Styles going dark AJ in Impact, where he didn't. I don't want to be friends with anybody, and I'm okay with that. And it's just like, but like I said, there's no going to be like poor Swerve. That's not going to come out of my mouth. That's not this story. There are stories where I will go poor Swerve. This ain't the one.
For sure. One other backstage thing that happened before we get into the next thing, which was Jericho threw a fireball in Hook's face. One little last fuck you he threw. But then we get into the main event, the International Championship match between Will Ospreay and Daniel Garcia, with MJF accompanying Daniel Garcia. Hell of a good match. Really good.
Let me tell you, the match was fine to good. This is where you feel bad for Will Ospreay and Daniel Garcia, This man Will Ospreay has set the bar so fucking high that this match, which would probably be the best match on Dynamite any other week, everybody's like, oh, it was okay.
Yeah, it was okay because they just saw probably the match of the year this past Sunday.
Dude, again, it's funny. I was talking about it. It's like Will Ospreay, like, oh, we're talking about, oh man, that might have been Swerve's best match ever. I'm like, well, that's like Will Ospreay's third best match of the year.
Like I said, dude, this man's broken the scales.
Yeah, Takeshita, Bryan Danielson, Swerve, right? This is how I feel about it. Right now, if you ask me my 3 matches of the year in AEW, those are my 3. And you could literally put them in any order that you want to me, and I would not argue. If you like the Swerve one best, cool. If you like the Bryan Danielson best, cool. I personally prefer Takeshita, and honestly, the reason was, it was this. I knew Will Ospreay and Bryan Danielson was going to be an absolute banger, and he exceeded my expectations. I knew him and Swerve were going to be a great banger. But from what I understand, it was the first time him and Takeshita touched, and I came out of that match saying I could literally watch this match every day of my life. So that's why it's my one. It's a bit of a tangent. But on this, going back to what we were talking about in this match, this was a perfectly good, exciting match.
No, it was really solid.
But it did not hit the Will Ospreay level of expectation that he has set. I can't even get mad at anybody else for doing this because Will Ospreay has done this to himself.
He has.
It's like Ed Sheeran, use him as an example, puts out number 1 songs like all the time, and then he puts out like a number 15 song. Still a really good song, but it didn't hit number 1. You know what I mean?
I feel you. Everything's number 1 though for me though.
I understand in your fandom, but I was just saying it's just like you were like, man, that's a really good song, but is it a number 1 song? No, that kind of thing. It's just
we should be getting a new album next year. I'm coasting off the fact that we're celebrating the 10th anniversary of Multiply. I cannot believe it's been 10 years since that album came out.
Yes, you were.
I was still in high school.
Yes, dude. Yeah, you're still in high school. And
I was when the fandom began 10 years ago. Legit, when that album came out.
Yes.
Moving on though. Match itself was really, really solid, but again, with how Ospreay has broken the scale, felt underwhelming to maybe some, but regardless, as the match goes in, MJF comes up and he's got his Dynamite Diamond ring in for Daniel Garcia. He's telling him to use it. Garcia doesn't want to, and that's when Ospreay waits for the hidden blade to pin Daniel Garcia, and Ospreay consoles him, basically going like, "It's all right, man. You did a good job." And MJF was like, "That's on me. That's on me. It had nothing to do with you." And he holds up Garcia's hand. He hugs him, and then kicks him in the low blow zone. MJF takes on the diamond ring. He's about to strike Daniel Garcia. Matt Menard jumps in, and he knocks down Daddy Magic, and he starts gushing blood. And MJF is once again no longer our scumbag. He's just a scumbag. Heel MJF is back.
Let me tell you, heel MJF never left. he was always still taking his shots at people.
He was just waiting for the right moment.
He was okay. He tried to do something nice for Daniel Garcia, and then Will Ospreay upped him. And you saw the emotion change. He came out with smiley MJF, and when Ospreay upstaged him, you saw the expression on his face change. When MJF says he's a generational talent, that look, that expression change, and that Will Ospreay versus Daniel Garcia, don't talk to me about a move. Don't talk to me about a promo. Look at that expression change from the beginning of that segment to the end of that segment. And that is why he's a generational talent. That dude thinks about everything that's going on all the time.
And just, dude, freaking the moment, the way that he was back to just being the shitbag that he is and getting after the crowd too, dude. Oh my God.
He 100% rebuilt the Cody turn. 100%. That end, the hug, like I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't watch it and watch every movement he made, because I don't know if all the movements were the same, but it took me back to the Revolution 2020 when he kicked Cody in the nuts. I mean, it actually wasn't Resonant. Full Gear 2019 when he cooked Cody in the nuts. And it just gave me that same feeling. I just feel like Daniel Garcia is going to end up being like a super over godlike babyface when this is over. But good Lord, MJF is back. He is in his natural habitat.
This man went head to head with a fan in the crowd and was dumping trash nearby them. Oh, we are so back, boys.
Yes, and shout out to the fans out there. Honestly, they were doing it and they were yelling at it. It never felt like they were going to go over the line.
No, it always felt like, it was an added moment to it, but it never felt like to the point where it was going to get ugly.
Yeah, it was just a part of the story. And to me, I am like, when you come to fans and the wrestlers out there and he's yelling at you, dude, you're part of the show now. Be a part of the show. But being a part of the show is realizing don't actually fight this man.
It's realizing it's still a show.
Yeah, so yell at him, get in his face, get as close to close. They were forehead to forehead, but that dude never raised his hand like he was going to hit him or anything. It was amusing.
He never made security have to do his job.
Yes. It was. I just thought that interaction between MJF and the fan was perfect.
Great.
It was
spectacular.
Like the sickos. That's what it's for because most fans aren't paying attention to that, and just like, dude, I thought it was brilliant. Shout out to those guys in the crowd. I felt like you added to the story, added to MJF's heel turn. And, MJF's, like, again, generational talent, dude. You can see something coming and it still hit. He's back to where he's supposed to be.
He is. And that was AEW Dynamite Beach Break. Just finished up, and it was a really good show coming off a hot, very, very hot Forbidden Door pay-per-view. Rampage just finished up, obviously, just today. So if you guys didn't catch that, you guys can check that out. And then
everybody you thought was going to win won, but they did announce one thing on Rampage. I believe Roosh, they did the handshake. He's officially a member.
He's officially in there.
In the Don Callis family. That was really cool. And again, I'm hoping you're listening to the show. You have already watched Rampage.
Yes.
Mariah May did move on to...
she beat Hikaru Shida.
So is she in the finals or the semifinals?
That is the finals. So the finals is now going to be Mariah May going up against Willow Nightingale.
Willow shooting for the first
back to back. She's trying to go back to back.
And then Mariah May's there, and we're going to see what's going to go down there.
Yeah. And what do we got now for Collision? I'm trying to pull up Collision, what we got for this upcoming Saturday.
I was literally just looking at it and moved on to something else.
We got Rio versus Lady Frost, which will be taking place. We unfortunately have to hear from the Jack-Off Jack Perry. We're going to have a trios match between Mark Briscoe, Orange Cassidy, and Kyle O'Reilly versus the Iron Savages. So Bear Boulder, Bear Bronson, and Jack Jameson. And I don't know if there's anything else that was announced for Collision at that point.
We got
might have been.
Tony Storm versus Trish Adora.
Oh, of course, yeah, Tony Storm. How could I forget my girl?
Hangman versus Jay White in a Owen Hart men's tournament semifinal.
Yeah, the semifinal match. Yep, that's your big match right there.
MJF's going to kick off Collision, and what they announced right after Rampage is that we're going to get a segment from the Patriarchy.
Yes, Christian.
Yes, so
let's go.
Between the two of us, we got it. We got everything.
Yep, there you go. Now that is what we got coming up on Collision. We'll go into a couple other things that we have real quick for some other headlines. One of which just being All Out. First of all, your boy and his sister, we already snagged our tickets. The pre-sale for AEW All Out is this Monday, starts this Monday. But
if you bought tickets in the past, actually, when you asked me,
tickets from the Now Arena, it already started.
Yeah, when you asked me, I literally had in 3 different emails, I had the code. I just hadn't looked because, weird enough, I'm not going to All Out.
I know. College football got in the way.
Dude, no. So AEW gets a little loosey-goosey with their schedule making. So when my friend asked me in March, did I want to go with him to the Nebraska and Colorado game on September, I think it's 7th? And I said yes, because I was going to have All In 2 weeks before that. Then I was going to have All Out the next week. And yeah, it would be great. And then I would have nothing that Saturday. So, Collision, but I'd watch it in the morning like I normally do. Well, for lack of a better terms, so he buys the tickets. Gets us the hotel, says he's driving us there. I don't have to pay for anything but my food. I'm like, this is a completely free trip, and something doesn't happen to me a lot. So I'm like, dude, I'm fucking down. And then AEW's like, oh, we're moving All Out to September 7th. I'm like, I like rolled my eyes. I was the only person. I was excited about it, but I didn't put two and two together. And then this week, I was a couple weeks ago, someone was like, so you want to go All Out or something like that? And I was like, and then it hit me. Not only am I not going to All Out Live for the first time in All Out existence, All In and All Out, I was at 100%. So the first time in All Out existence, I won't be there live. To top it off, to make it worse, I won't even watch it live because I will be in Memorial Stadium in Lincoln, Nebraska, watching the Nebraska Cornhuskers play Colorado. I'm in a wrestling mode right now. So I was like, I'm very excited because Nebraska's field has been very much on my bucket list. I'm a huge college football fan. I wouldn't say wrestling was always my first love, but college football was my second love. And, the AEW, hey, you just can't be all loosey-goosey with the schedule.
Yeah. I was going to say, they were pretty much set in stone that they were going to, keep the schedule the way it was, where it was going to follow up All In the week after. And then they actually changed their minds.
Yeah.
We weren't expecting that at all.
So if it was me going to a football game, you know me, I'd cancel and go All Out. But it's someone taking me to a football game that has been wanting to really watch the game with me. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. And it's Deion Sanders, coach of Colorado. We get to see who might be one of the top quarterbacks taken off the board next year, Shedeur Sanders, and a generational talent in Travis Hunter, who is playing wide receiver and cornerback on a level that no one's done since Charles Woodson. So I know this is not a football podcast, but yeah, that's what I'm missing. I'm going to miss All Out. Like, I am not an anxious person. Anxiety is not something I get. I rarely get nervous. Life is going to work out. I am already experiencing anxiety about not being in the building for All Out.
We're gonna have to make sure we keep you in spirit when we're there, dude.
Yes, I'm gonna have to find me a blackballed stand-in just to take the picture with you and Sydney. Just so I can.
We'll Photoshop you in.
Yes,
we'll Photoshop you in.
Yes. Yeah, but yeah, it's like, Floyd, you have a life. You've done this for 5 years, and it's like you got to keep reminding yourself, like, dude, I've been there as much for AEW as a fan can be. Yeah, just a simple fan can be. So, yeah, I'm going to have to miss one, and it's going to suck.
So, yeah, it's going to suck. Yeah,
my friends are going to be like, you want to do anything after the game? Yes, I have something perfect to do. I'm going to go back in my room and watch a pay-per-view.
Yeah, you got prior engagements afterwards. You can't do anything else other than that.
Yes.
But yeah, so if you had gone to other AEW shows at the Now Arena before, you already got access to the pre-sale code to get tickets for AEW All In and Collision the night before on Friday, September 6th, I believe it's when it is. The general pre-sale goes on Monday, and then general admission, I believe, is the Friday.
Yeah, let's sell this bitch out. Let's sell it out.
Let's go.
It's in literally my favorite place to watch wrestling. I know people are like, oh, it's a dump, it's whatever, but it's my favorite place to watch wrestling. The Now Arena.
It feels so good being back, dude.
Yeah, and like, dude,
that arena.
All in.
My first, dude, I haven't been back to that arena since. Oh God, when was the last time I was at the Now Arena? Because I wasn't at more of the recent ones, actually. When was the last time I was there? I'm gonna try to figure that out while you finish what you were saying.
Yeah. So no, I'm just really. I'm looking forward to the summer, And, you know, I've decided to go all in on going to all in. So, you know, when you're an adult, you got to make those decisions. And
yeah. Oh, my God, dude. The last time I was at Hoffman Estates, last time I was at the Now Arena was for All In 2021, my favorite pay-per-view of all time.
Yes, that was a good
wow.
pay-per-view. Yeah.
Man, it's going to be good to be back there.
Yeah, can't wait.
I can't wait, yeah. So be sure to sell that bitch out, like Floyd said. And then lastly, the last piece of news we'll talk about is the continuing rumors of one and only Ricochet becoming All Elite. That's being reported, rumored about for weeks now, with his time in WWE seeming to be done. You want to touch on this, Floyd?
Yeah, Pretty Ricky, that's what they call him. The reason I put it on there is because
Pretty Ricky's Ricky Starks, who I missed tremendously.
So July 1st or Monday was his official first day as a free agent. There was a lot of speculation that he could be the wild card for Jeff Jarrett. I'm guessing that would have worked, but I wouldn't have liked that because of the 9-minute video of Jeff Jarrett that went crazy and everybody fell in love with Jeff Jarrett.
Yeah, everyone loved him again.
Whoever was the wild card was going to have to be a monster heel. I don't know heel Ricochet at all. And I'm pretty sure he was on the Indies for a long time. I'm pretty sure at one point he played a heel. I don't know heel Ricochet. I've never been involved or experienced heel Ricochet, but it didn't seem like that was something he's capable of. So I don't know if I wanted heel Ricochet against Jeff Jarrett, but bringing in Ricochet is gonna be a big deal. A big deal for him and the company, but just because they love him so much, and that's what that's what wrestling is. Tony Khan's the producer, the casting director, the writer. You know what I mean? So the one person you need to love you is him. So yeah, I could see him and Will Ospreay doing stuff early. I believe because he was in Lucha Underground, that would mean him and
Prince Puma.
Yeah, him and Swerve might have some kind of thing. Because I did not watch Lucha Underground, so I have no clue.
I watched season 1, but unfortunately I didn't get much further.
Yeah, Prince Puma was my dude. Yeah, Prince Puma is coming. And but I'm looking forward to King Ricochet coming in here to do his thing. I don't know when he's going to debut, and that's a good feeling. That's a good feeling with wrestling. Like I said, when you watch so much of it, you kind of can get the rhythm of wrestling after a while. So sometimes you just need the company to knock you off your rhythm.
Absolutely. I think that's going to close us out, though, for this episode of All Things Elite. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in every single week. I'm glad to finally be able to be back on an episode. I've been all out of whack with my schedule. I'm glad to be back. Be sure to continue to support the show by downloading it every week, whether it be on Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, Spotify, wherever you choose to listen to us to. Give us a download and a share with your friends, family, coworkers, whoever you wish. Rate, review, subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. Follow us on Twitter at ATElitePod. Follow at Social Suplex, who make this show possible. Check out all the other shows they have on their network. I am at Austin Sumowitz, SZUMOWICZ, and Floyd is at Floyd Johnson Jr. on Twitter. Thanks again for tuning in, guys, and I will pass it off to Floyd so he can take us home for this episode of All Things Elite.
To steal a line from Mark Briscoe, the word of the day is consistency. I'm trying to be more consistent with doing the show. But consistency is pretty much the key in your life. Showing up for your family, showing up for your friends, showing up for work, showing up for your diet, your health, whatever it is, consistency is key. The thing is, when you don't have consistency, when you're not been a consistent person, that's the first thing a person will notice change about you. If that's something that you change, is people notice when you're there, they notice when you're not there. And I'm talking about in all those things I just mentioned, not just like needing money or something like that. So I will leave you with that. Just try to add more consistency into your life to everything that you do. And most importantly, we got 9 days until college football comes back. And
that's where we're going to lose you. We're not going to have that consistency goes away when that game comes out.
No, I will be consistently playing the game.
Yeah, but you won't consistently be here is the problem.
No, my biggest problem is like forcing myself, because I watch Dynamite, I watch Collision without thinking about it, and then like Rampage and stuff. It's just like doing anything else other than those things, and then playing college football is pretty much going to be my, job. But no, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to 9 days. I bought my brother a PS5, and if everybody that's ever listened to the show might know, my brother is pretty much like my hero in life. So the idea that I get to buy him a PS5 in college football is, almost like a full circle moment from when I was younger, and he would always be the one that had to buy all the shit. So that's pretty cool. I'm going to leave you. Britt said it best this week. I mean, I feel like she stole my line, a little bit, I feel like she didn't say it all out like I do, but yeah, everyone strives to be elite. So I will leave you with this, whether it is home, work, or school. Always do your best to be elite. All right. Sir,
Sweet.
I'm going to go get me a nap before I have to work in the morning.
For sure.
Yeah.
Real quick, too.